Hi guys, I'm making this video because I'm absolutely bored out of my mind. I got some changes that I think would add a lot to Phasmophobia because I've got like 20 hours or something. I don't even know what I have, but how many hours do I have?
The ghost has
I've got 22 hours and the game wasn't really even spooky since like 10 hours. I've mostly just been shit posting all day. So yeah, I played for like 5 hours and I was not spooked like once. So pretty fucking boring. I'm just gonna run down the list here. I wrote like a whole document of ideas. The first thing I think the game needs is daytime setup. So like when you start a mission, it's daytime and you can go in and put things down to like, you know, like actually make like sound sensors and like motion sensors and stuff like that more useful, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest, they aren't really useful. I mean, like the infrared light sensor is so useless that I actually like recently I haven't even been bringing flashlights. I've just been using like candles or like nothing, and just because my team is busy, you know, trying to play with the spirit box for like 10 minutes, even though I told them it would have answered by now. I just, you know, I walk around and place some infrared light sensors. Yeah, so we need daytime setup because we need to be able to do things that make those items useful. Like we need to be able to set up some video cameras. We need to be able to set up, you know, video cameras on tripods, candles, maybe glow sticks even. That would be really useful, because honestly candles are fucking useless except unless you're memeing. Glow sticks are also pretty fucking useless. Tripods are a useless item, to be honest. You can just place the camera somewhere anyways. And like I said, sensors would be useful if we could actually set them up first, and then like come back at night and like, you know, look at them on the map and stuff and figure out if there's something going on, get like a general idea. And you know, that's what they do in actual, you know, like ghost shows. You know, they set up the cameras and shit like the day before. No information about the ghost can actually be like gathered during like the daytime period. Like, you know, you can't find ghost orbs, and like the ghost doesn't actually like spawn or do anything. I have some suggestions on how long it should last. It should last like 6 minutes on amateur, 4 on intermediate, and 2 on professional. Just you know, like just enough time to like get inside and like put down a couple things, or you know, bring some shit inside. And the good thing about this is that it could also function as like an orientation period for, like, you know, if it's a new map, you can kind of wander around and get like the basic gist. That's all I can really say about that. I think that's basically necessary. I have this one idea for like a repair kit. Like you can go in and like fix like the locations cameras so that you don't just start with all the cameras. You know, maybe most of them are broken and you got to go in and fix them in that short period of time. But other than that, for the nighttime, the save time would obviously be reduced because you don't really need it anymore. 3 minutes on amateur, 1 minute on an intermediate, and 10 seconds on professional. And I just put 10 seconds instead of 0 seconds because, I mean, it doesn't really matter anyway. The investigation phase would be exactly the same as before. You know, you go through all the same steps, but afterwards, once you know what it is, this is where the game actually like gets something useful and makes it interesting. Is you can do a ritual to banish the ghost, which is, I mean, I know like the whole idea is like, you know, a crew comes in later and gets rid of them, but why the fuck can't we do it when once you get used to playing the game for like more than 6 hours, it's boring as fuck. And this actually has a lot of depth to it. I've come up with some good ideas for this. Incorrect rituals will increase the aggression of the ghost significantly, so you'll basically die if you mess up the ritual. And you only get one chance to perform the ritual on professional and intermediate. Maybe this could be not a rule, but I don't see why not. And the thing about this is that you don't start with like the equipment in the van, like you don't bring it. What you do is basically like everyone goes back to the van or whatever, and or you know they just make sure that they all have the right ghost type they think it is in their journal, and then somebody at the van can like press a button and it'll order equipment, which will be like like helicoptered in or just like vanned in or something. And after a few moments, it'll come here, and it's in like a bag, and you can like take the bag inside, and you can like press a button on it. It'll make all the shit pop out. Once the equipment is ordered, the ghost will enter what I call Phase 2 AI. And Phase 2 AI dramatically increases the aggression, and it enables special abilities based on the ghost type. So Banshees will always spawn near their target during this time, and will initiate hunts as often as possible. Banshees will constantly make vocalizations during this time, so basically a Banshee is an actual Banshee, and they're much more dangerous to their chosen target. Demons will hunt as often as possible, and any spirit boxes will be filled constantly with just the ghost saying things like like hate or like die or death or whatever. And Ouija boards will also do that. Jinns will always turn the breaker back on, and any players near the breaker box will be targeted first during this period, or something like that. The radio would be disabled, so you would only be able to talk to each other in close quarters using the local voice chat. Now that sounds kind of like a random change, but jinns are supposed to be like the electronic ghost, so I feel like disabling the radio would make a lot of sense. It would actually fit the ghost, and that would make people actually need to form a plan before they go in and do stupid shit. Mares will completely disable the breaker box, and you cannot turn it back on. And upon entering Phase 2, all candles and glow sticks will go out or be destroyed. So candles will go out, but glow sticks will be destroyed. So
I don't know why I have higher sanity than you, but
yeah, so basically the mare disables all forms of light in order to strengthen itself. Onis will always spawn in line of sight of a player, but at a great distance. If there is no great distance available, they will spawn nearby out of sight. Originally this was for Revenants, but me and my friend decided on a different thing for Revenants, which I'll get to in a minute. Phantoms will always take a player's form and will spawn near the player they are mimicking, but they will not target them unless they are the last player, which will cause confusion. So basically, you won't. So let's say like you're following some guy and he's like like he's a good distance away, like he's like at like the end of like light, a flashlight distance. Like all of a sudden he rounds a corner or something, and then like a hunt starts. Like like this isn't actually like part of like the code for that, but just saying. And then he like comes back around the corner, and you're like, why? Where the fuck? And basically that's actually the ghost. So it could actually end up confusing people and making them not know that that's actually the ghost hunting them. So yeah, it's basically like a spy from TF2, I guess. Poltergeist will throw your inventory items at great speeds in random directions, which will be really annoying, but also enforce you to try and stay within small areas so you don't have to run across the whole room to get your shit back. Revenants will not stop hunting once a player is killed, making grouped rituals and just groups in general very dangerous. So I feel like this is actually a better change than having them spawn at great distance like an Oni, because this just kind of makes more sense. But I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. So Shades will always spawn incredibly close to lone players when hunting. If players are in a group, picks a random target and ignores its shyness, will not spawn close to players in groups. So Shades basically just kind of like pop up out of nowhere very close to you, and you have a very short amount of time to actually react to them. And spirits will constantly mess with objects and doors, as well as make vocalizations, creating a lot of noise pollution. Spirits will always hunt near the ritual ground during this time, and basically camp it. Wraiths will constantly manifest in random locations near players, draining sanity and making them unpredictable. This ultimately will strengthen them because your sanity will be lowered dramatically, because you will keep seeing them. Your rays will drain sanity to 0 within a few moments of being in the dark, which should be pretty obvious in that it makes it far more aggressive. It will always target the player with the highest sanity, so staying in the light is not a good idea. I have some suggested ritual objectives as well. Place some kind of item in a circle, such as candles, crosses, flashlights, or just some kind of like object that makes sense to do that with. Obviously not like books or something. Place X, and this is a different one, but it's basically like the same thing. Place an item type in a circle and put this item in the middle. So let's say like a circle of candles with like a Bible in the middle or something, or a crucifix, or like a spirit box. Just something like that. One is to throw a dream catcher at the ghost. Originally, this came from an idea where I had back when, certain types had like their own rituals, but I figure it's better to make them random, and you have to follow like a set of instructions based on the ghost to make the game more challenging. And yeah, so you basically can't just like, okay, well, it's this, I'm just gonna sit here and do the same thing over and over again. That's kind of against like the whole point of the game. The next one is to keep the breaker on for a certain period of time with a grace period. Like if like the ghost turns it back on, you have like 10 seconds to turn it back off before this fails. So that way you, yeah. So this one is difficult for jinns, but it doesn't really affect the other ones. But I think that is still fine, and I think that's a good idea. It makes the game more difficult, especially if it's a jinn that you get with it. The next one is to sort of like use like a special vacuum, like a Luigi's Mansion fucking thing or something, obviously as like a finishing move. So it's always like a last step if it is available. That was also the idea for the Dreamcatcher. It's like a last step. The next one is fill a room with candlelight. So basically just place a bunch of candles in the room. Another finisher is touch the ghost with a cross. And the other one is to fill the room with incense, which I guess could just be like smudge sticks. But basically the idea is all of these ritual objectives, like the items you need come in like a kit. Like I said, like you order the equipment. And I don't remember if I mentioned it already, but ordering it costs money, so, if you're not, like, 100% certain of what kind of ghost it is, it's optional. You don't have to do the ritual, but you will make a lot more money if you do the ritual. So yeah, so basically, any items you actually use during the investigation won't actually, mess up your chances of doing the ritual. And, like I said, the rituals are random, so they're they're not predictable and lame. That's all I really have for that. I have some buffs and nerfs and reworks in here because I think it needs to be done. Equipment buffs, the parabolic microphone is absolutely fucking useless. Every time I use it, it's like, it's never really in the direction of the ghost, so it's fucking, it never helps. And it just, its range is so short, it's not even worth using. I honestly don't even bring it anymore. It is completely worthless. I tried to use it on 10 or 12 different hunts, or not hunts, investigations. And it was never accurate, and it never helped me, and only twice out of 12 hunts I actually got a 24 or 30, and they weren't even in the right direction, so it's completely fucking worthless. It needs to be fixed. Range should be basically infinite, and the ghost should emit some kind of constant noise. Someone said on Reddit that it should be like a game of like getting warmer, which I think is good. That's what it should do. You know, it basically helps you narrow it down, but you know, it's not overpowered. You know, it's not perfectly accurate. It mostly just gives you like sub-cardinal directions, like northeast or like north, northwest. And the closer you get to it, the more accurate it would be. Obviously, it would still have its its like decibel system, but I'm just saying, so it's not overpowered. Candles should be placeable. I don't know why they're not. They're fucking pretty useless right now because, like, they only really emit light when they're standing up. And it's basically fucking impossible to get them to stand up unless you have something to throw them against, so I don't know why this isn't a fucking feature already. Glow sticks should work in hand. This is pretty obvious. If candles can work in hand, why can't glow sticks? And to let us have one more crucifix for really big rooms, or just increase the radius by 1 meter for the crucifixes. I think that's a good change that makes them not so crappy, because they are kind of really bad on big maps like Prison, or, you know, like big hallways like the hallways on Brownstone. Now for nerfs, photo cameras shouldn't be able to find fingerprints without UV light, and this is a really kind of simple fix. I'm surprised the developer hasn't done already, because this is, you know, whatever, but I guess he just doesn't know exactly how we should have done it, which I can tell you already. Basically, a UV light, or like, you know, like a glow stick should have like a UV light should have like a cone that basically is like an overlapping system where if the fingerprint is overlapping the cone, it will allow itself to be picked up by cameras. And obviously, like, glow sticks would have like a sphere, but basically, yeah, it works the same. You know, if the fingerprint is inside the cone or sphere, it will allow itself to be picked up by the photo camera, and otherwise, it will never trigger the fingerprints like objective, or the what's it called? You know, like the reward. And the thermometer should have no range because it's already too powerful. The thermometer's fucking overpowered as hell. That doesn't mean you should not have like 3 or 4 of them. It just means that they should be nerfed. It doesn't need like a 6-meter beam or whatever somebody said it was, 6 feet or something. It should have literally no range, so you should have to be standing in the room to get use out of it. Like why does it have range? I mean, I get that like in real life they kind of have range, but like it's fucking overpowered. If you ask me, you should get 1 thermometer for every 2 players, and it should have like 6 inches of range. Like, it should have no range. Reworks, increase the effective sanity pills to 60%, but reduce the amount you can bring by half. So basically, instead of 4 that do 40%, they should be 2 that do 60%. I think this is a better change, because it's just, like, it's better for smaller teams, but it's not really a big deal for bigger teams. I think that's a fair change. Crucifixes should emit a small glow around them, so that they're easier to find in the dark, and you know when they've been used up. And please add a basic HUD to help you figure out what you're actually holding, because I fucking absolutely hate that I can't figure out what's in my hand if it doesn't glow by itself, like a camera. Like, you know, I'll be switching through my items and I won't know if I'm holding an EMF reader or a fucking book or something. It needs to be fixed. You know, just a very basic HUD that, you know, like, lets you know what you're holding. Just like one little square in like the bottom right with like a little icon of what you're holding. That's all it needs. And salt should stun revenants who step into it for a few seconds, so you can run away. This will make revenants not so broken and will enforce players to, you know, be prepared. So revenants actually have a counter besides just hiding. Like, you know, if you're in a big hallway and you can't fucking move, then you're fucked. But, you know, you could maybe carry around some salt on Brownstone and save yourself by just placing it down and hoping that they you know, beeline straight into it. That's all I really have to say. I think like at least like 90% of these things should be added to the game, because like a daytime setup is basically required at this point. You know, there's items that are completely fucking worthless, because why would you like the sound sensor is supposed to help you find the ghost, but why the it's fucking completely useless because you'll just have a thermometer, so what's the point? There needs to be daytime setup. Nighttime will be mostly the same except for the addition of rituals and reduced setup time, because there's no real setting up to do because you already set up in the day. Obviously, like all the ritual stuff, I'm not going to go over again. I think that's really important to make the game less stale, and it will make the game more exciting because it will be far more dangerous and there will be, you know, wacky shit going on. I think everything that I said that needs to be buffed should be buffed. Everything that needs to be nerfed should be nerfed, and everything that should be reworked should probably be reworked as I want it to, but I think it's fine if they don't. But, you know, they really should add a HUD. They really should have a way to counter revenants besides hiding, because if you're in a long hallway and you can't get out of the way in time, you're just fucked. And crucifixes should definitely emit a glow, because you have to like walk up to them and like stare at where you last knew it was to like know if it's there or it's been used up or not. So they need to have something that helps you figure out if they've been used. And the sanity pills thing is kind of like a good idea, kind of not. I mean, I think it's better, but you know, it's alright if that doesn't actually make it in, because that's not really that great. But yeah, I hope these things get added, because this game is currently really fucking boring, and I mostly just play it to dick around. At this point, it's not scary anymore. It's yeah. So, thanks, and I hope you guys like my suggestions.